Bones are amazing things. They hold us up, they support us, they make us strong. But bones have other uses. In the past, bones were thrown by diviners, seeking out the mysteries of the future. Now the bones are cubes, made of plastic or resin, but they still reveal things to us. As they fall from our fingers and rattle across the table, the story becomes clear. Welcome to Bone Throwers Theater, an RPG actual play podcast.
Welcome back to Bone Throwers Theater, to this coronavirus edition of Zorro. My name is Aaron, and I am playing Antonio de Lombardo.
And my name is Jeremy, and I'm playing Javier Rivera.
This is Johnny playing Jacques.
And I'm Jordan, and I am the Game Master. And we are having a lot of fun with Zorro. Previously, the new Capitan Ortega, comes to Mission Los Angeles, and he has a person who he says is Zorro, who is tied up in the back of a cart. He says that he is going to execute Zorro tomorrow, and he wants all information about Zorro sympathizers. And then the group tries to free him and is successful in cutting the rope that is tying Zorro's hands, but Zorro refuses to flee. They try and figure out what's going on. They meet with a young lady named Rosarita Cortez, who says that she had known Captain Ortega during some travels, and she wants to know why someone would be executed without a trial. So Antonio decides that he's going to help her out. He goes to take her to the captain's quarters so that she can pose the question to him, and she says that the captain is not the person she remembers. So the party decides to go take a look and see what they can find. And while they are looking around, they find a body on the new Cortez ranch that is naked, with their throat cut and only having an eagle feather near them. They think that it might be the actual captain rather than the captain that they have met. So Antonio went to find Rosarita and bring her to where they have brought the body. And when they do that, there is 3 guards that are heading to the tavern where both Antonio and Rosarita are staying. And then there is a fight. And realizing he is outmatched, Antonio goes to run away and is successful. And when we last left off, he was trying to climb up the building next to the tavern so he could leap from one to the other. And he manages to fall off the building. And that is where we are picking up right now. So, Antonio, you just had the wind knocked out of you.
I'm going to stand up and shake it off and try to find another route. I mean, am I next to the tavern?
You are in a small alley between the tavern and another building.
Then I'm going to attempt to climb between the two and try to get in. Yeah, like spider crawl up the 2 buildings. Try to get into a window to get into the 2nd floor of the tavern.
Okay.
Oh, much better. 16.
1 over the target number.
Hey!
You succeed.
So I'm in the window. I'm going to knock on the doors to let Rosarita know that I think she's in trouble.
Sounds like you're trying to sneak through the building.
No, because the guards are outside still, right?
That's correct.
So I'm not being incredibly stealthy. I'm trying to do this quickly and making sure that she knows. So I'm not being particularly stealthy, but I'm trying to be fast.
You're trying to be fast. Well, that sounds more of an agility roll.
Okay. I like that. I like
so you're just like going,
rolls.
Tack, 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 next door, tack, 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 next door, tack,
yeah.
tack.
Knock. Rosarita. Yes, it's Antonio. Rosarita. Trying to get through this quickly before the guards actually come into the building. And I don't like my dice tower because I rolled a 1 on the wild die and got a 7 total.
I like that dice tower. Let's keep using it.
Okay, so I'm not being very fast?
You're not being as fast as you wanted, and also people had to have been coming out. Rosarita's one of the last people in the building. So as people are coming out to go down into the street, as the soldiers are calling, the people are knocking into you, bumping into you, pushing you up against the railing that looks down into the tavern.
Okay.
So you're getting constantly pushed up against the railing of the tavern as you're trying to make your way through.
Okay. But do I make my way through?
Eventually.
Okay. Everybody else is still filing out. So I get a response from one of the doors?
Yes.
Rosarita, it's Antonio. I think you're in trouble. We found a body outside of town. I think it's the Capitan.
I'm in trouble?
I think so. There were guards that were trying to sneak up. They held knives. They say they're looking for contraband. I think they're here for you.
But I don't have any contraband.
And I am persuading her that I think they're coming to kill her because she recognized that it's not the real Capitan. I don't think they're really looking for contraband. I think they're just here to kill you or arrest you for recognizing that this is not the Capitan that he says he is.
Okay.
$22.
2.
Hey, she is not very willful, is she?
Oh, she doesn't have a lot of knowledge. She's very innocent.
Okay.
So she says, "Oh dear, how are we going to get out of the building without them noticing us?"
Your window. We're going to go out your window.
I don't know. I've never climbed out of a window before.
I will help you out. I'll hold the sheet while you climb down.
Fine, I guess so.
And I grab the sheet off of her bed and kind of tie some quick knots in it and open up her window and get her to climb down the sheet.
Okay. We're going to go ahead and say that the target number is 10. She has an agility of 2 dice. She rolled a 7. But there was a 6 on her wild die, which means that she gets to roll another one.
And a hero point. Rosarita has a hero point.
Yes, she does. And she rolled another 6 on her next die.
Hey!
Okay, so she wound up rolling a total of 16.
All right. And then I'm going to climb down. I'm going to use a hero point to do that. Because I don't trust my dice. Okay. I got 14.
Okay. So the target number was 10. You did fine.
Okay.
Rosarita did better.
Yes, Rosarita's a better climber than I am. Yeah, it was all that stress and adrenaline really got her going.
You were holding the sheet for her.
Yeah, that too.
There's nothing like a strong man.
That's right. And I'm not that. So we are going to head away from the tavern. From, straight back off the back of the tavern via alleys to get back to lead her to where this body is.
Okay, sounds good. So we're going to go ahead and roll sneak to get out of town. We're going to go ahead and say that's at a 10 again.
I'm going to spend another hero point to give myself 2 dice.
So we're rolling stealth. She has got perception at 2D. She rolled a 12.
I rolled a 4 with a 1 on the wild die.
Complication. So as you're going through town, you start to see... Remember how we talked about we're seeing more unfamiliar faces, the cow herds and whatnot that seem to be coming into town?
Yeah.
You see a crowd of them running towards the tavern.
Okay. Do they see me?
Even Rod.
What color is the dice?
It's one of the ones Jeremy gave me.
So I am going to go with odd.
Even. They do see you.
Do they react when they see me? These were not the same guards that chased me earlier. These are just people who see me working my way through town.
You and a young lady working your way through town. They are going to come after you. What are you two doing? Where are you coming from?
And I kind of say it abashedly. I'd be like, guys, don't let it get around. This is my wife. I just caught her with her lover. One of my friends had let me know that she had been seen heading to his house just around the corner. And I'm taking her home now to show her what for.
How could you say these things about me? All right, go ahead and roll deception on that one.
$25.
Against 11. It's like, oh, well, we don't want to get involved in a domestic laughing. No. We're just no, and they just keep on going.
Thank you. And turn around and keep working our way out.
So you're able to get out of town. Meanwhile, Javier and Jacques, it is taking Antonio a really darn long time to get back.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Mm-hmm. Almost a full episode.
Yes.
So yes, we're just sitting here waiting for Antonio to come back.
Yeah, it's getting later. It was 2 o'clock. It was about 3-ish, 3:30-ish.
No, I took a nap.
Fair enough.
We're in the farmhouse, I assume.
Yeah, you're able to be in the abandoned house.
Just waiting it out.
Waiting it out. Okay. Yeah, nothing really exciting happens. Finally, Antonio and Rosarita show up at the farmhouse.
All right, so when they show up, we explain to Rosarita that we found the body, and we just want her to take a look at the face and see if she recognizes him. I covered up the body so it's not the entire body exposed.
You go ahead and you hold up some light to go ahead and
Show the face.
show her the face. She gasps. Oh, it can't be.
Is it the Capitan?
How did the Capitan Ortega die?
Well, it looks like the primary cause was the knife to the throat.
Well, yes, I could see that, but who would do such a thing?
My guess would be the imposter.
I likely agree with Jacques that it was the this man who is taking the place of a Capitan.
And maybe trying to build some fame for himself by saying he's caught Zorro when he actually hasn't.
Yeah.
I still don't understand his end game. He must have some end in sight. If this man that he claimed was Zorro this morning is now sitting in the jail and playing cards, he is a willing participant in this.
Well, I suspect we're going to say that this man here, the Capitan, was Zorro and they had killed him.
Oh.
They already have a body, or so they think.
And we definitely put a damper on his plans by taking this body.
Makes sense to me.
So what do we do now? Do we expose him?
Well, we know that there are some of the soldiers that are not aware that they don't actually have Zorro. So we can also assume that maybe some of the soldiers are not aware that this is actually not the real Capitan.
Correct. I mean, I would assume whoever does not know that they don't have the real Zorro also don't know that he's not the real Capitan. The same people, I would assume.
So how do we set the record straight? Is the word of a lady enough?
You mentioned traveling here with your father. Does your father know the real Capitan?
Unfortunately, he was not on the voyage with us. I think there might have been a state dinner that they were both at, but I don't remember my father interacting with him that much.
So Javier would say, would it be any significance that this body of the Capitan was found at the construction site of your home?
It was? It wasn't found here?
No, we brought it here.
Because that's what we do. We carry bodies around.
At least there wasn't a sewer to go through in this one.
Nope.
Yeah. I don't know of any significance off the top of my head.
Would the Capitan be going there to visit you if he knew you were having construction done on his way into town?
How close were you two on the voyage?
We were intellectual companions. We enjoyed a good conversation, sometimes a game of chess.
So he could make a social call.
He would not be outside of the realm of possibility.
Who were the men that were working on your villa?
It was mostly locals that my father had hired.
Were they reputable?
I don't ask my father's dealings.
Would you recognize the men?
Unfortunately not. I didn't spend much time at the construction site. I just got into town a few days ago.
So I think we need to find some way to trip up El Capitan and make him expose himself.
I think we've already done the first step of that by moving the body.
Yes, at least we know that his plans to quote-unquote execute Zorro will not be moving forward.
The problem is we don't know who actually, besides Rosarita, knew the real Capitan. If we knew somebody else did, we could go to them as well.
Was there anybody else with you on your travels?
There were a few other voyagers, but none of them came here to Los Angeles. They all stayed behind in Presidio Monterey.
So what I'm thinking is that those strange cowhands that we've seen in the city, they may be the construction workers.
That may be in on it, yes, because one of them was in the jail playing cards with the person that I assume they were trying to say was Zorro.
Yes.
That sounds reasonable. So rather than confronting the fake El Capitan, we could always confront one of them who might have more information.
Correct. Maybe we could get the guy who was playing cards with the imposter Zorro.
What if one of us were to disguise ourselves as Zorro and confront him?
It's been done before.
Confront the card player? I think that sounds like a fun adventure.
That might cause the Capitan to trip up and do something once it's reported that Zorro actually paid his men a visit.
What time was he going to execute Zorro?
Noon the next day.
So we have to get to the man before that.
What if rather than even confronting him, we simply had Zorro be seen around town? Very noticeably.
That could be done.
It sounds like what we need is somebody to bring
Impersonate.
attention to the streets as Zorro rides through.
Yes, that is what I'm picturing.
So Javier, you'd probably be the best one to be the imitation, as both Antonio and I are very good at drawing attention.
If myself and Jacques were to stir up crowds while you rode through town, I think that would create enough of a knowledge that Zorro is, in fact, not in prison, that it would spread rather quickly.
Don't forget to leave the mark of the Z.
All right. Well, we will need some things from our hideout.
Yes.
I'll leave it to you to be in place to draw attention.
But who's going to take me home?
Miss Cortez, I do not think it would be wise for you to head back to the tavern. I think it would be best for you to hide out at our hideout with Javier.
Where is your hideout?
Hidden?
Javier can say, I don't think that's the best idea.
I need to go back to civilization.
Well, ma'am, the train out east isn't for another 3 days.
We are headed back towards town. We can...
You can stay in
Escort.
my house until after this is all over, so you'll be safe. It's just outside the city.
give us a little bit of time, and this should all be over with.
So dawn is probably maybe just an hour or so away. So Javier's gonna hop on the horse, gonna say, "All right, Zorro rides at dawn," and then rides off.
Nice.
And then Antonio and Jacques and Rosarita head back towards town.
Yes.
So Javier, you go to the hideout, and do you all keep like Zorro body double costumes on hand at all times?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that was one of the things we said we had, and there was definitely like a extensive pile of different attire to
Change it to.
ourselves. Yeah.
I dig it. So you go ahead and you gather that all together. Now, if I remember correctly, you have a knife. You don't have a sword.
No, I don't.
So, unfortunately, the sword is something that is important to complete the accoutrement, but you could probably make do in a pinch by riding through without it.
Well, I imagine that there would probably be a few spare swords at the hideout. Swords do get broken from time to time.
That's true. Maybe you have like a sword that is... It's only about a quarter of a sword. You can... The handle and the scabbard, and just... If you pulled out the blade, then it would only... There would just be a stump.
Or just a practice rapier.
Yeah, just enough to look convincing, but you can't actually do anything with. You're relying on your brains in this instant. All 1D of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So there are no actual swords that I can use?
No, you can go ahead and take a sword.
So all I need to do is make the mark of Zorro.
Yes.
And ride through town as people draw attention. Go to the top of the hill. Pull the reins of the horse so the horse dances on its hind legs. And then ride off over top of the hill into the sunrise.
It sounds like you've been fantasizing about this just a little bit. So a rapier, it would be brawn plus 1d plus 2 if you did actually need to use it.
To do damage, right?
Yeah, that's the damage.
Well, hopefully I'm not planning on to use it to fight with. It's just for show.
Right, because that would
just
be...
need
Well,
a skill to make the Z, and that's it.
So you would use it for melee. Melee would be your skill that you would use for that. And that defaults to 4D, which is not a bad skill.
No, it's not. It's pretty good. And I have hero points, so.
He's just saying he hopes to avoid a fight at all.
That's true. Now, do you have the body still with you, or did you leave that at the farmhouse?
Did we leave it at the farmhouse?
I would leave it at the farmhouse.
I don't know. We might need it.
I didn't take it with me, so.
Well,
I would leave it at the farmhouse.
Just so you know, here is the attributes and skills for a horse.
So the horse is smarter than Javier?
More knowledge than I do.
And more perceptive than myself or Jacques.
Yes, correct. So the horse has a dodge of 10, a parry of 15, an agility of 3, a brawn of 2, a knowledge of 2, a perception of 2, and a charm of 2. It's a charming little horse.
That is funny.
So you get the horse ready, you get your costume together, your mask, your high boots, your cape, your rapier, your gloves, your black sable shirt and pantalones, and you are ready to ride.
Yes.
Now, when do you want to make your appearance?
Right at dawn.
Right at dawn.
I'm going to go to the square where everybody had met, and that's when hopefully the two others will start to make a big scene, and we'll start the act there.
Okay. So Antonio and Jacques, you are able to get Rosarita to Jacques' hovel, and she is very displeased that she has to stay in such a humble abode.
Only for a few hours.
Those are going to be the longest hours of my life.
Maybe, but it'll be safe.
Your life will be much shorter if you try to make it back to the tavern.
Fair enough, she says. So you leave her behind, and where do you all go?
I go to the square, and Javier or Antonio, you want to start playing? Get their attention so I can start speaking?
Yes.
So your goal is to draw as large of a crowd as possible.
Yes.
All
The
right.
Remans are coming! The Remans are coming! So, I am playing rather loudly and yelling, "Come one, come all, for the greatest show on earth, Jacques!"
Go ahead and make me a persuasion roll.
All right, I like that. 22, 24.
Okay, you succeed very handily. And you start drawing a crowd. First off, it's like the people who would be up early. You know, the blacksmith has to get the fire going. There are people who are going into the well to draw water for the day. There are servants who are out cleaning and preparing to make breakfast for the dons and doñas. Some soldiers that are always on guard in the square. And they start hearing you, and you're getting everybody's attention.
All right, so there's a crowd.
There is a crowd!
And then as everybody's attention is focused on the two of them from one of the alleys at the back of the square, you see the horse cut into the middle of the street. And I guess there's a lamppost at the back of the square. And that's where Javier is going to draw the mark of the Z and then pull up on the reins so that the horse can come up on its hind two legs and then tear off down.
All right. Go ahead and give me a riding check for this.
I can just see he's trying this and falling off the horse.
Well, I'm going to use a hero point.
Double them dice.
Yeah, I'm speaking to the crowd, saying, why are we gonna let the new Capitan execute our hero, the man who's defended us all? Stand up to this evil tyranny.
Well, that's a 1 on the wild die, but there are a couple 6s, but a lot of 1s. So there's a complication.
Okay.
What was the target?
The target was 15.
Oh, I got it. Definitely. That's 18 right there. 21.
Okay.
22, because I forgot you still count the wild die. All right, so
Yes.
22.
Yay! That's actually a real cool feature of the thing. Instead of subtracting the highest and the lowest die, then you get the hero point as like a consolation prize. And you succeed, so even better. We're going to go ahead and say that the horses sort of thunder through the dusty road as you come through. You stop in the back of the plaza. The horse rears up, and it sounds amazing. And people turn and they go, ooh, ooh, it's Zorro! Who does the captain really have? You hear all this, and you go to make the mark of the Z, and you realize that the saddle is not cinched as tightly as you thought it was. And so you start kind of sliding to the side a little bit. So you're kind of clenching on with your legs at like about a 45-degree angle from the back of the horse. And we're going to go ahead and take a break and see what happens with this dramatic sign of the Z in just a moment.
As a geek with a life outside of gaming, it can be hard to stay informed. The Sometimes Geek podcast is your weekly update of all the major video game news, brought to you with the insight of an everyday gamer. Episodes are kept short and to the point, so you have more time to spend playing games instead of reading about them. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, and at sometimesgeek.com. The Sometimes Geek podcast, because we can't be geeks all the time.
And we're back! Show me how well you can make that Z, fake Zorro.
Very well. 3 6s. I used a hero point, by the way.
Fair enough.
31.
Sounds like a success.
I would hope so.
So, you managed to make the sign of the Z with no trouble. Imagine how many flat surfaces in this town have been scored by a sword with a Z. It's like everywhere. You kick your heels into the horse and you take off while you kind of slide off to the side a little bit. But you manage to hold on just enough to keep on and to zoom out of town. Meanwhile, Jacques and Antonio, you start hearing and seeing some of the soldiers and the cattle hands. They seem slack-jawed, the ones who have gathered in the plaza. They can't believe that they just saw Zorro, who's in jail, riding through the plaza. The soldiers, they start running immediately after our good friend
Zorro
/ Javier. And the soldiers all run into the stable. And they come out of the stable with guns.
Of course they do.
They're gonna shoot Zorro! I yell really loudly.
Stop the soldiers. Do not let this tyranny reign.
Some cavalry members jump on the horse and they start chasing after Zorro. All right, Zorro, are you ready for a chase scene?
Sure.
We are at 4.
Well, we know what the skills are for a horse.
We do. Okay, I have cavalier skills. Cool. Let's go ahead and roll initiative. For initiative for the chase, we're going to use riding.
Yep. Oh my gosh. That's not good.
I got a 15.
10.
So I get to go first. We're going to go ahead and set the target number at 15 for this.
Okay.
So I am going to go ahead and say that my soldiers, my cavaliers, they are really good at riding. And that takes a lot of agility. So they're going to go ahead and use their agility to try and guide the horses and, maintain their riding abilities. So like to keep balanced on the horses, crouched over just right, kind of, jockeys in a race. Target number is 15, and I rolled a 9. Woohoo! We are staying at 4 for the moment.
All right, so I am also going to use agility to right myself back on the horse properly so I can start to ride even faster. And that's a 6 on the wild, but I have a 16 already.
Okay, that's an exceptional.
Gets me a here.
Yep, so that bumps you up to 6. They are going to use their knowledge of the local terrain. They're going to go ahead and spend a hero point. And they're going to go ahead and try and box you in and try and force you down an alleyway that ends in a dead end. Oh gosh. 11, 12, 13, 14. So we are still at a 6.
Alright, so I'm just going to use riding for now and just to make a beeline straight, like to get to the edge of the city.
Sounds fair.
Ooh, it's going to be close. 7 plus an 8 is 15.
Boo. Boo. So that puts you at 7.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and use riding. They're going to try and catch up to you as quickly as they can and keep on trying to box you in. Oh, I rolled 3 6s and a 5. So that reduces the number down to 6. All right. Your turn.
All right. I'm going to use deceive. And as I get towards the edge of the town, I'm going to find some brush to like have the horse jump over. But as it jumps over, I'm going to then make a sharp turn so they see the tracks going over the brush and think that it continues that way, hoping to head off in a different direction where they won't track.
Sounds good.
Deceive is at 4. Oh no. There's a 1 on the wild. 13. Only 14.
Oh, and a complication. We'll go ahead and say that you managed to jump over the bush, but when the horse lands, its back hooves skid a little bit on the ground, so that the hoof prints, when you know how you wanted them to kind of go in a different direction, the skid kind of points out where you're supposed to go.
Right.
So they're able to keep track of you easier.
All right.
So it's my turn. They are going to go ahead and use command to tell you that you need to stop in the name of the king. 15 exactly. So you're down to 5. They're gaining on you. They're getting closer. You can start to smell the sweat rolling off of their horses as they close in. You feel this uncomfortable itching between your shoulder blades as the bead of their pistols starts to focus in on you. You might be feeling a sword sink into your back at any minute. You don't know what's going to happen. What are you going to do next? It's not a bad suggestion from Johnny. He said to use survival to read the terrain to choose the quickest path.
Yeah. Since they just use command, I'm going to use a little bit of acrobatics.
Okay.
To sort of taunt them a little bit. So I'm going to get up out of the stirrups and sort of still holding onto the reins, halfway standing on top of the saddle, just look back at them and wave.
That sounds like a very Zorro thing to do.
Yes. So that's 14.
Okay.
Definitely got it. It's at 16.
So we are back up to 6. And I really enjoy what you said, Johnny, about using terrain. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and use survival, and I am going to go ahead and scope out the terrain to see what I can find. Oh, and I rolled a 1 on my wild die. 11. So I do not succeed, and they take a complication. So they're just so hyper-focused on you as they're going outside of town. They're not paying as close to attention as the terrain as they want. One of them manages to jump over a small gully. Another stops right before it, and then the third just careens right into the ditch, and the horse actually breaks its leg. And also, according to the writer of the game, one can double down in chases.
Oh, nice. All right, so hearing that from behind, knowing that the terrain is causing them some problem, I am also going to use survival to find out, hey, they're having trouble with this type of terrain, so find more terrain like it.
Very nice.
And I'm going to go ahead and use a hero point on this one.
Okay.
I feel like I need it. It's a 6.
On your wild die?
On the wild die. That puts me to 8 because I definitely got 32.
Very nice. You succeed quite heroically. So you manage to jump over a few small ravines and gullies and skirt around some trees, and you are out, and you were able to get back to the hideout and lose them completely. Yay! Meanwhile, back in town, Jacques and Antonio, you are seeing soldiers run into the local stable, the communal use stable, and they are coming out not with horses, but with rifles.
Are they shouting anything at the crowd?
They seem to be shouting more at Zorro and chasing him, but a few of them start going towards you to break up the unsanctioned gathering that you have started.
So, more or less, as they started chasing Zorro off, I went ahead and started slinking away and kind of getting out of the crowd.
Not me. I'm trying to get the crowd to fight against the soldiers.
These are not soldiers.
Are these the stranger cowboys that we're talking about?
You are correct, yes. These are the ranch hands and the ruffians in town that seem to be newer, that you don't recognize.
So, yeah, I'm saying to the crowd, do you really want to help these people? Want to keep you all down and in the dirt?
Go ahead and make me a rabble-rousing roll, which I would assume would be persuasion.
I would assume, which is why I boosted it.
Yes.
Ooh. I got one on the wild die.
Ooh, complication.
13.
So that's good enough to start the crowd noticing what's happening. You start hearing grumbling and complaining and
I'm just like standing on the wall of the fountain or something, so I'm a little bit elevated from the crowd.
yes, you can see a little bit more because you're standing on a bench or a wall or something of that nature.
Yeah. Maybe my complication is in my furor I fall off.
I like that idea. That sounds like a good complication. So you get lost in the crowd as you fall off.
Yeah.
People are starting to swarm around you. Antonio, go ahead and make me a sneak roll to see if you can get away easily.
I'm using a hero point for that.
Okay.
And I got a 6.
Okay. So that's an epic success.
No, I mean,
If
I
you
got
did
6 total.
Oh,
3 on the wild die and a 3 on my second die. A total of 6.
well, that's not a success.
So I did not blend into the crowd.
Nope. Everybody knows who you are. You're about as anonymous as an iguana slinking through a street.
Fair enough.
Everybody knows who you are. And also, the part of the issue is that you've done a good job of standing out the crowd
Yes.
from day one.
Which, isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No.
Except
Except
for
when
right
you don't
now.
want to be noticed. Yeah. And, you've done a good job of making sure that people don't really associate you with Jacques at this point.
Okay.
But the complication is now they're starting to put 2 and 2 together. They're starting to say, hey, we've seen Jacques and Antonio doing things together. What are they doing? Is Antonio one of these, not rabble-rousers, but is he a revolutionary?
I will deny it to my grave.
I say it's all
You know-
about the money.
You don't want to be associated with Antonio, Jacques?
Not publicly.
No, not publicly. If anybody were to ask me, I would let them know he pays quite handsomely.
Gotcha. So you're not getting out of town easily at this point. Is there anything else that you all want to do?
Oh, I'm just trying to keep my head down and not get arrested.
I think that was my goal. My goal was to try to blend into the crowd just so that I wasn't trying to get out of town, just more or less be part of the masses.
Yeah, so if they attack the cowboys, then I attack the cowboys.
And that's what I would do as well.
Even or odd?
Even.
Odd. So you are doing a really great job of fomenting a small riot.
Yay!
You want to foment a larger riot, but you'll take a small one to start off with. So you yelled out about not what do you really want to support these people that you don't really know? And you just hear these people going, yeah. Do we want to do that? Do we want to support these good-for-nothings? We don't even know who these people are. And you start to see like people picking up like hammers and picking up different tools that could provide a good improvised weaponry. They're like, Jacques, lead us.
I'm okay with this.
They push you to the front.
All right. I go up to the closest farmhand that's all armed and upset and everything. And I say, just what do you think you're doing? You think you can kill Zorro?
He takes his gun and he just pushes into your body. He's holding the stock where you would rest it against your shoulder, and he's holding the barrel, both in each hand, and he just pushes into you, trying to knock you down. Go ahead and make me an acrobatics roll.
All right. 14.
Oh, 7, and I rolled a 1 on my wild die. So complication. I will allow you to choose the complication.
All right. He tries to push me. I grab hold of his rifle and push him hard enough that he lets go.
Okay. And so you're holding this rifle, and you look down and you see tied to the stock of it, you see an eagle feather.
Oh. I want to look at the next hand over at his gun to see if I see a feather there too.
Okay. Go ahead and make me a quick perception roll.
I'm going to use a hero point.
Shocking.
I got 5.
That was just enough.
So, does the neighboring hand have a feather on his rifle as well?
It does.
All right. We have proof. What I'm going to do, I threw the gun. Actually, I didn't throw. I passed it back behind me to somebody in the crowd. So now one of the regular townspeople has the gun.
Okay.
I said, you cannot come into this town, support this new Capitan, to kill the only man who cares for us and sticks up for us.
From the back of the crowd, I'm going to yell, yeah!
Okay. Go ahead and make me a persuasion roll. Both of you.
$22.
13.
Let's just put it this way. Having someone who is super charismatic with you is always going to make this kind of persuasion go a little bit better. Yeah. So you say your part, Johnny. Jacques is really passionate about it, but you know what? He does have a bit of a flat delivery and a monotone voice, so it doesn't come up quite as convincingly as when the rich, sonorous, musical voice of Antonio just steps in and blasts it away. And so that simple yeah from the back of the crowd just pushes everybody further into your camp. So you now have like this one solidified mass of people, and there's only like 4 or 5 of these farmhands that are actually armed at this point.
Okay.
And you're blocking their way. They can't get to Zorro even if they wanted to.
Yeah.
AKA Javier.
Get these men and put them in the jail where they belong.
Okay. So you say that to the crowd. You hear some shots are being fired off in the air, but the crowd just rushes them. There's about 30 or 40 people in your small riot, and there's only like 4 or 5 of them. So they easily overpower them. They take the guns away, and all of the guns have eagle feathers tied to them. And they take them and they rush them into the jail. And there's Zorro sitting there just enjoying a nice cup of coffee, and he's also having huevos rancheros and just enjoying himself quite nicely. And he seems to be reading a book from Spain.
Is it actually Zorro?
Oh, no.
Okay, I was about to say. But it's somebody dressed like Zorro.
Someone who is dressed like Zorro.
I can say, this man here, if he is truly Zorro, why is he sitting outside of the cell?
Sir, I don't understand. I am captured. I am in jail. I am sentenced to die.
Yes.
And he just totally flubs it.
Well, now he is in the cell.
So the crowd picks up the Zorro imposter, and they roughly manhandle him in the cell, and he gets a couple of good licks in. His ribs are bruised, and his eyes are black, and there's El Capitan suddenly appears in the square between the jail and the Capitan's hacienda, and he's yelling, "What is this? What are you doing?" And he's got a pistol in each hand.
All right. Is there any other soldiers with him?
Oh yeah, he's got like a good 15 soldiers.
Do I recognize any of the soldiers with him?
Go ahead and make me a perception roll.
Hero point. 10.
You do recognize that some of the soldiers are actually deserters. They had been in the service before, and then they had disappeared to join a bandit group out in the hills.
When I say, those men there are not real soldiers. These men are bandits. They abandoned their post.
Very nice. He sees that you have a saber at your side. He goes ahead and he drops the pistols and he says, "Sir, I challenge you to a duel."
I draw my saber.
Jacques, I think you need a hype man.
He's got how many soldiers with him?
There's about 15 soldiers with him.
And how many civilians do we have with us?
About 40.
I would probably yell, "We can't let them kill our leader,"
Go ahead and roll persuasion on that.
and start chanting Jacques' name.
Jacques, Jacques, Jacques.
Bravo!
20.
You succeed. The crowd is getting riled up. No! Jacques must live! He must live! But Jacques, you know that honor must be satisfied.
The only way to keep them from firing into this crowd is to do this duel.
Exactly.
I don't want to let the citizens die.
Sounds good. And while this is all going on, Javier, you managed to come back, circle around. You've discarded the mask and the sombrero and the cape, and you are now at the back of the crowd. And you can see your friend, Jacques, standing there with a sword in his hand in front of a crowd of a revolution. Is he going to make it?
Yes, he is going to make it, because at any point that Javier doesn't feel like it, he's going to shoot the fake El Capitan with his rifle.
So you have your rifle. To do that, to get a good clean shot where you're not going to hit anybody, you're going to need to be on the roof of a building.
All right. So I need to roll some athletics or something? Ooh.
Acrobatics, actually.
Acrobatics.
To wall climb.
Okay, I'll take that. What's the
Target?
target?
15. 15.
15? Why not? I'll use a hero point.
Why not?
30.
Yeah, you succeed just fine. Ain't no issues there. If there's going to be a duel, then there needs to be space. They need to have room to move. Antonio, you need to convince this crowd. You need to persuade them to create a space for a grand fight to begin.
Okay, then I would yell exactly that. Give him room! Give him room! Let Jacques take care of this impostor. 19.
Success. So the crowd, they back up and they part, and the soldiers, they get on the other side, and they're beating their swords against their rifles, making all sorts of noise, and they start chanting. They don't start chanting Ortega, Ortega. They start chanting Eagle, Eagle, Eagle. Go ahead and make a knowledge roll.
All of us?
Yeah, everybody.
Hey! 6 on my wild.
And a 5.
5?
7.
Okay. 7, okay.
Do I need to explode the 6? I got an 8.
You do not. But you did get a hero point, Johnny.
Yes.
You all remember that you have heard of the Eagle. He is a bandit who has been terrorizing the hills to the south of Los Angeles. And he has been causing all sorts of consternation for Zorro and he and Zorro have been locked in a bit of a war for the past 6 months or so. But no one has ever seen the Eagle until now.
I say to the imposter, so you're the Eagle, are you?
And what if I am?
Even if you take me down, Zorro will capture you.
We will see. We will see. And so he draws his saber, and it's time to roll initiative.
right, and what's the mission again?
Melee, because you guys are going to start hammering swords together.
19.
Okay.
And I have 5 hero points to spend.
19, 22.
22. Okay, so he goes first.
Yes. The eagle salutes you with his sword, hilt in front of face, swipes down, and then he takes a formal fencing stance, and he lunges. And roll melee. 18 plus 4 is 22. What's your static skill?
20.
20. So he scores above that.
Yes.
So he's going to go ahead and roll damage, and you're going to go ahead and roll brawn.
0 point.
I rolled an 8.
Oh, yeah, I got that. 20.
Okay. So you are currently stunned.
Yes.
So you can also use a hero point to not be stunned.
If you want. Yes.
That is something that you can do with hero points.
Okay, sure.
Okay. So you are not stunned. So it is now your turn.
Alright, I'm going to use a hero point, and I'm going to lunge back.
Okay, sounds good.
Oh, 1 on the wild.
Complication.
Let's see. 29.
Okay, so his parry is at 20. So you go to swing in, and you make contact. You do get your hero point back, and go ahead and describe your complication.
I stab him, and it hits one of his buttons, and so the button is now stuck on the end of my blade.
Okay, yeah, that could be worse. Now, I only have 1D, so enjoy this. What are the 2 numbers I roll on this red die?
And he didn't pick up another one, so...
Well, I just rolled a 6 on my wild, and I got, 12, 17 without exploding. No, 18, sorry.
So damage roll greater than or equal to brawn roll, and brawn roll produced a complication. Mortally wounded.
Yep.
Go ahead and describe how you run the eagle through.
Alright, so I slightly block his blow, so it just stuns me a bit, and I immediately lunge straight at him, hit through his button, right into his chest, right where his heart is.
Very nice.
As I pull back, he falls to the ground.
And he doesn't even have a chance to gasp out, "Avenge me," or anything like that. Blood just starts welling out of his mouth, and he falls into the dirt as the sun peaks over the tops of the mountains and hits upon the square in which you stand. And the whole crowd bursts into joyous rapture, and all of the eagle's men, they just start quaking as the soldiers who are still loyal to the town of Los Angeles realize what's happening, and they realize that the Capitan Ortega that they're serving has actually been a fraud the entire time. The true soldiers and the people band together, and they drive these desperados out of Los Angeles with Jacques, Antonio, and Javier at their front. And that has been Zorro, the Fox Unmasked. Thank you so much for listening to this mini-series on Bone Throwers Theater.
Thank you for listening to Bone Throwers Theater. We are releasing this podcast under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 3.0 Unported license. That means that you can share the podcast, but please do not modify it or try to gain financially from it. If you would like to visit our website, you can do so at bonethrowerstheater.com. If you would like to send us an email, you can do so at bonethrowerstheater@gmail.com. Our Twitter handle is @bonethrowerstheater, and also you can look us up on Facebook. And until next time, may the bones fall ever in your favor. This has been a Nerd Circle podcast production.